This go for either of y'all. Just what did y'all make of the last regular season meet, and just I guess the confidence boost that a performance like that can give y'all heading into SECs this week?
Yeah, honestly, this past weekend was a meet that I think we kind of boosted our confidence on all of the events. And Jay keeps challenging us to get better and better each time we get on the road. And for this to be our final regular season meet of the year, it gives us all the confidence going into postseason.
Aleah, getting that 9975 on floor, did that help you out a little bit? Just getting over that hump.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a conversation about it regarding kind of some tweaks and changes that were needing to be made inside the floor routine, and so to be able to go out there and hit for my team, it's definitely something that I feel a lot better about going into these next few meets.
She killed it. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, A.
Of course. Wait, I'll talk about you. And I think going off of like what she was saying and how open she was to making that change, whether that be like her steps or anything, all the tweaks, like it just shows how good of a competitor is and how bad she wants it for her team, and just how open you are to being able to change it. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. That's beautiful.
I love talking about you.
Haleigh, how do you feel? You feel 100% in stretch run Haleigh Bryant at this point?
I think so. I think just gaining confidence each weekend has been kind of a challenge for myself, or a challenge that I've had for myself, and I think I'm starting to kind of have that confidence again. Obviously, like I said, I had a slower start, but I think I'm right where I need to be right now with everything, and just keep working hard inside the gym to build that confidence up going into SECs.
Just kind of giving each of you an opportunity to talk about Kaylin's 10 and what you've seen from her, what she's capable of.
It was absolutely amazing. She deserves so many 10s, and just seeing it every single day, like I say, she knows what she needs, she knows her process, and just how inspiring that is that a freshman knows exactly what they need this early in their career. And I'm just so proud of how hard she works and how bad she wants it for her team. It's just so cool to watch, and like I say every time, I'm just excited to see her career play out here.
Yeah, she competes exactly how she practices, and so it was just so cool to see it kind of play out the way that it did, because she works so hard in the gym and you can see it out on the competition floor. And like Haleigh said, she knows exactly what she needs, and for her to be able to compete how she does and train how she does, it's really inspiring for me.
For Aleah, you're an aunt now, I understand.
Yes, I am. A tita.
Is that aunt in Philippines?
Yeah, it's Tagalog for aunt, yes.
Wonderful. Little girl, little boy?
It's a boy, so
Okay,
maybe no women's gymnastics. But
Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see.
So cute.
Now that y'all have, the season goes into another phase with the postseason, you're building off the success. You won. What does it do to say, you guys got to share this regular season championship, which is very hard to win, obviously, especially now that OU has joined the league, and now that y'all going into a meet that you won last year, but it's as good as tough as an NCAA final, right? I mean, just talk about the mindset, going with that confidence and going into something that where you've had success but know how difficult it is.
yeah, I think following this regular season championship win, it's something that I haven't experienced, or we haven't experienced being on this team, and so finally have that, check it off of the list. But I mean, it's great. It's something that we work really hard for, but now it's kind of on to the next, and we were focusing on SECs, and we're just putting all of our training and all of our mindset into this competition. And we learned a lot from this season. Kind of a slow start, and then we built it up. But I think each week we're getting better and better, and we're exactly where we want to be.
Yeah, and I think going into this meet, it's not making the moment bigger than it needs to be. That's something Kai always said, and something that I've really hung on to and tried to let everybody know, because, I mean, it's known that we're going to go in Saturday competing for an SEC championship. Like, everybody knows that, but not making the moment bigger than it needs to be, doing our normal gymnastics, and just being in the right mindset, because everybody's gymnastics is where it needs to be, every single team. So it's going to be who walks into that arena with the right mindset into doing their gymnastics.
I like that one. That was great.
To both of you, it seems like you're consistently scoring over 198 lately. What do you think about just this team top to bottom and its ability to score, even though the perfect 10s aren't there like in years past? You're still piling up big numbers here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this team's exactly where it needs to be. Like, our gymnastics is there. Like I said, it's the little details that we're going to need to focus on and go into this competition. But at the end of the day, we don't really focus on the scores. We don't look at all the 198s because we know when we do good routines, we know when we hit. So I think it's just doing our normal gymnastics and focusing on the gymnastics part and letting the scores play out as they do.
Yeah, exactly what Haleigh said. We can't control scores, we can't control numbers, and when they're great, that's awesome, and when they're not, we know what we have to do for our gymnastics, and as long as we are doing our normal gymnastics and being able to hit those clean routines, then we're going to be really satisfied.
Haleigh, last year y'all had the plus of competing in New Orleans in front of a lot of fans, and I'm sure that boosted y'all a bit. I wouldn't say in this final anybody has a home arena advantage, but coming off the fact that y'all just had your best road performance, and y'all have shown y'all can put together some PMAC-like performances away from home. What does that mean for you, think, going into this meet?
I think it's a really good kind of confidence booster. We were in a hard environment, and we did very well at Auburn competing there. They were loud. They were really a good crowd to compete in front of. So I know that the team really is going to take kind of what we did there into the SECs because, again, like you said, we're not going to have New Orleans fans in there cheering for us, but we know how to bring our own energy and how to be enthusiastic. So I think just knowing that we're going to cheer each other on, we're going to have fans there, and just do our normal gymnastics.
Lastly, just for fun, March Madness are the two words this time of year. Obviously, you have to be very focused on what you're doing, but y'all aware of the other things going on? They're setting up the PMAC for, the women's basketball team's going to play here, and do y'all know anything about what's going on with the NCAA tournaments? I'm just curious.
Not really, no. I heard they were going to go to Spokane or something. That's about all I know. I heard somebody say that. I was like, Washington, cool.
I think it's cool to
That's all I
see.
heard.
I'm not following along super closely, but I see it on Instagram every now and then. But it really is March Madness in all sports for LSU, and so it's really cool to see all of these different teams. Really, we're all going after the same thing, just in different areas.
Yeah. I said, I don't know.
Or something.
Maybe we'll go to
It's a good.
Washington
Okay,
together.
thank y'all.
Cobble's fangirling over there. I don't know. Look at him with his Haleigh Bryant shirt on. Did you get your autographs? Can we start? Do you mind? I'm just kidding. Great weekend. I mean, a great Friday night. Exactly what the doctor ordered in terms of a performance to round out the regular season and on the road, and you heard them. I mean, they've risen to the occasion when they've been challenged to do so, and so we finish that phase of the year out and move on to the next one, and this thing is going to be a slobber knocker. I mean, it's 1, 2, and 3 in the country. And then Missouri's inside of the top 8. I mean, I don't know that there's ever been an SEC championship evening session that stacked. But then you look at the conference as a whole, and all of them. I mean, the afternoon session is going to be extremely competitive, and I mean, there may be some movement. Who knows? One of those teams may jump up and do well. Finishing higher than they came in, so it's tight, and you feel. I'd be remiss if I didn't say you feel for Arkansas, because you can be in the top 16 in the country or whatever that is, and not make this. I mentioned this last week, and I don't know what the final solution is, because it is complicated a little bit, but I think we got to figure something out with that.
Like you were saying, every team in the conference is a strong team. So what do you think it's going to take to win it?
I think you heard the kids say it. I think that there's a lot of teams that are capable of winning it. It's just going to come down to the mindset, who gets hot. So much of it this time of year can be momentum driven, and when you catch momentum, you better try to hold on to it, because there'll be an ebb and flow to this thing a little bit. If you're a scoreboard watcher, which we caution our kids about not doing, there's going to be times when you're doing well and times when you're behind, and that's just the course of a competition that's going to be this close. It should be exciting. I'm hopeful that we have fans, there to create a little bit of atmosphere for all these teams. You saw me pause. Yeah, Cobble knows me. He knows what I'm really thinking.
You talked earlier this season about how you want your team to perform well outside of the walls of the PMAC, and throughout the latter part of the regular season, they've proven to do that. Just what kind of strides have you seen them make as far as just their performance?
It's been tremendous. We went to Arkansas earlier in the year and really kind of laid an egg, and we're not happy with how we performed, and it was at that point that could have been a turning point for us, because the dialogue changed a little bit, and we began to improve week over week when we'd get on the road. It's hard to compete on the road in this league. It just is, but to see the growth that they have shown over the last month plus has been tremendous, and so I feel good about where we are. Obviously, we'd love to have more pieces to our puzzle still. When you lose people like Chase Brock and Aleah Lincoln, still a question mark, and on and on. You'd love to have a full boat when you get to this time of the year, but I don't know many teams that do. So I'm not sure that it makes us that much different. But I like what we have, and I like where we're at, and I certainly think that we've got what we need to get it done.
I guess staying in that vein, to the quality depth that you do have, right? If you don't have those pieces, could you speak to just maybe how some of the girls have elevated their gymnastics over the last 6 weeks to really not let you skip a beat?
Yeah, well, Kylie Cohen's been key in that, stepping up, and both on beam and floor this year. Lexi's Ice going in on vault this past week and getting a 9.9. She stuck that thing cold. There's so many that have. Leah Miller has played an increased role and done a great deal for us. So, the list is long, and that's that's good. Obviously, we've had to use our depth, and that's why you have it. That's why you work to have it anyway. When you recruit, you want to have as deep a team as possible, and so. We've been able to utilize that and put ourselves in a very good spot.
When I think of Kaylin, I think of everything that's gone right and everything she's done right. Is there a moment or a specific attribute that she's possessed that's kind of wowed you, and something that maybe you didn't expect to get out of her this soon?
I just think it's the competitive maturity and the seriousness with which she goes about her business. I texted her club coaches over the weekend just to say what a magnificent job they did. Whatever role they had, some of that you're born with, and some of that has to be cultural when you're growing up, when your coaches are teaching you how to compete and how to get in a competitive mindset, and it's a great deal of it in the developmental stages is physical, but they obviously spend a lot of time on mindset too, and she you heard Haleigh say it, like she just has this process, and she's very aware of what she needs to do to get into the competitive mindset, and it's unusual for a freshman to be like that. Connor has it. I mean, Connor came in last year and demonstrated a lot of those same attributes, and it's happened more and more. I think Amari has it too. We've been fortunate the last several years to have a lot of kids come in very early in their career and be able to show that level of consistency, and it's not the norm.
You You mentioned Aleah. Any hopes at this point
Yeah.
to get her in there for something?
Yeah, I don't
one or
know
the
if it's this week, but I mean, she's feeling better. The shoulder feels better. She's ill right now, but she's got.
other? What about KJ on the floor?
KJ has not touched the floor since before Kentucky, so I don't see that on the horizon. I'm not saying it's outside of the realm of possibility, but she is feeling better and the ankle's good. But at some point you keep going back to the well, and we really need her on vault, and I don't. It's sort of that risk reward kind of thing. With Aleah, like I said, she's feeling better. Her plan, we were planning to train today, see how she went, but then she got sick, so that's a little bit on hold. But hopefully, going into regionals, we'll have her in a better place.
This may be a frivolous question, but with the breaks that you do have built in with the time off, is there anything that you need to see in a meet still before regionals? And
No. I mean, we kind of know what we have. For the most part, we're kind of set with the exception of Aleah, potentially being available at some point. Connor's really made a push on the leg events the last couple of weeks, and I think probably by the time we get to regionals would be available on all four if we needed her to, but I don't know that that's something we would just inject into the equation unless it was a real need.
this is a very serious question. Said frivolous questions.
Mm-hmm.
Play it off that. Tough room. You guys have closed the gap in QS with Oklahoma the last few weeks, and you were y'all right there. I would assume a chance to pass them for the number one NCAA seed if things went your way this week. I know you don't want your gym is focused on that. Is that important? Is it important to be overall number one? Dawn Staley was just complaining about how she wasn't the number one overall seed. Or are you just like, I want to be number one. We want to have a good, be in a good place, and you want to be number one in a regional somewhere.
Yeah, let me ask you this: how much good did it do Dawn Staley to complain about it? Probably not a lot. So I'd really. Well, I generally try not to concern myself with it. I don't know. I think mathematically it's probably still possible, but look, Oklahoma should be number one. They've been the most consistent team from start to finish. It took us a while. Like we mentioned the Arkansas meet. They didn't have one of those. So as far as I'm concerned, they are the number one seed, and that's why when you start out going 197.7 or 8 or whatever it was, and you never really miss a beat and come off that number and continue to climb. I mean, that's the mark of that consistency is part of the deal. We've been increasingly more and more consistent, and our scoring potential has gone up dramatically, as we've gone, but as far as I'm concerned, they are the number one seed, and but we'll be a number one seed wherever we go at a regional site, which means we'll have the same draw as the other three number one seeds, and it really doesn't make any difference to me. Look, you got to go through everybody if you want to accomplish whatever your end goals are. So it is what it is. There's not a whole lot of advantage, really. In some ways, if you're the one seed, the way our bracketology or whatever works, you get 8 and 9. Those are really good teams. If you're the 2, you get 7 and 10, and it separates as you go. So in some ways, it's not really an advantage to be the number one overall seed in the way that we do we don't as a sport protect the number one seeds or the top seeds or whatever the way you see it done in basketball. Not at the same level. Like random draw, we don't even pick the event. We do it conference meet. If you're the one seed, you get first choice of what event you want to start on. That's a way to protect, but it doesn't happen at the NCAA there. It's a draw out of a mysterious hat somewhere that decides. All I know is that if you're a one seed, you never start on vault when you go to regionals. You never get it's either beam or floor or something. It is what it is. But So we don't do it the same way. So it really, I'm not sure that it has much of an advantage other than psychologically for your team or whatever, but and from a perception standpoint. But I think everybody knows that Oklahoma and Florida and LSU and Missouri and Kentucky, and there's a lot of teams that are in the mix for this thing, especially in our conference and going forward nationally. So, Arkansas was at the national championships last year. So, I mean, it's wide open.
So you guys got to pick where you're starting on an SECs?
We did. We're starting on bars.
You're starting on bars?
Yeah.
All right, so what do you think the advantages to that are?
It's familiar. You start on bars half the season when you go somewhere else. It's not an unfamiliar place to start. During the dual meet season, you don't start on beam or floor ever. So unless you get into a quad meet, and in that Oklahoma City meet, which we had earlier this year, we were the top seed from the previous year, having won the championship. So we started on vault. So it's just you got to do all 4 events, but I think psychologically, mentally, it can, it's comfortable to start in one place or another. Vault and bars are generally considered the most desirable places to start, but not for everybody. I've seen teams pick beam if they feel like they have a really, really great beam team that is mentally kind of made up that way. That's all you got? Fans, get in your car and drive to Birmingham. I don't want 38 people in the stands on Saturday night. Well, there's 2. All right. Good. Yeah. Oh, Jock's got one.
Well, are there concerns that it's going to be dead, or?
Well, I don't think it helps that we're in Birmingham and Alabama's in the afternoon session. Like they may be there for I don't know. The afternoon session, people are at work, presumably. And so it's going to be tough. I mean, I hope that it's sold. I hope that the marketing machine in Birmingham got behind it, and that it'll be great, because we had almost 12,000 in New Orleans last year. I don't know. Our format needs to be tweaked. It just does. We need to be in NBA arenas and destination cities that people feel like they can take a long weekend with the family and go to the meet on Saturday, but maybe they come in on Thursday and do some other things. That's why New Orleans is a great town for it. That's why Nashville would be a great town for it. I know Tampa has looked at doing it in a couple of years. Cities like that is where we probably need to put our focus and get away from. There's nothing against the city of Birmingham, but it's a convention center type arena. It's not an NBA. I'm all for elevating our conference to be the premier event that I think it can be, and that we've shown it can be in certain venues like we did in New Orleans. Both times it's been in New Orleans, it's been fantastic, and there are other places that can do that too. It doesn't have to be New Orleans, but I'm just not a fan of revisiting the same places that we've been going for 30 years, because I just think it's a tough sell. We don't know where it is in 26, to my knowledge. I think 27 and 28 have been decided, but not 26. But there's some cities that are in the mix that I think could be good. I don't know the next. I mean, New Orleans is in the rotation. I'd love for New Orleans to try to do a 2 or 3 year deal, but in order to do that, the city or the state or whatever has got to meet the parameters that the conference sets, and I'm not sure that everybody's always willing to do that. Thanks.